This is the Iowa Weather Report for Thursday, September 26th, 2013. Now our first look at the 0Z GFS model run. At 1 p.m. this afternoon, we have a trough digging in across the west with some energy up across the U.S.-Canadian border, another piece of energy moving into Southern California and Nevada. But around here we have a ridge, and it's going to start getting warm. The winds are going to be out of the south, temperatures in the upper 70s and lower to mid 80s across the state, coolest to the north and east, warmest to the west. Any rain will be well off to our north and west across the Rockies, but that'll be coming in our direction here on Friday. The northwestern counties could see an isolated shower or storm, could affect some high school football games Friday night in the northwestern counties. Otherwise, it looks to remain dry and somewhat breezy and warm, but Saturday is not going to be very warm. It's going to be rather cloudy, rainy, maybe a bit of thunder and lightning around, as it's going to be temperatures in the 70s, maybe in the 60s if it rains quite a bit during the day. That system moves off to the east on Sunday. High pressure moves in. Temperatures will actually be warmer with more sunshine behind the front. Temperatures back into at least the 70s at this point, with mainly sunny skies, a few clouds in the morning. Monday, the temperatures may be a degree or two warmer as the winds begin to switch back to the south again, ahead of another system that's moving into the Pacific Northwest, but all the low-pressure centers are way up in Canada. Then heading into Tuesday, we still have a bit of a south wind, maybe 5 to 10, maybe 15 miles per hour. A little bit of moisture beginning to gather to our south as the Gulf begins to open up, but all the low-pressure centers are way to our north. That looks to still be the case even on Wednesday, but the GFS is showing maybe an isolated shower or storm around. There'll be some sunshine, highs in the 70s or so at this point. And then a week from today, next Thursday, we have some energy moving across Canada, especially Manitoba. A bit of a trough axis just to our west, but it's not very deep at this point. Just more of a wave type setup. But this looks to bring a storm system around with enough moisture in the area that could spark some showers and thunderstorms, even though the low pressure center is way up in northern Manitoba. So we'll have to wait and see about that. A couple days after that into the extended period, October the 7th, the main jet stream pretty much about over us, cut off low west of San Francisco, bit of energy in the Great Lakes moving into Ontario and Quebec province. And around here it looks to be somewhat active with a low pressure center with that energy we saw in the Great Lakes, maybe some showers and maybe an isolated thunderstorm at this point with somewhat seasonal temperatures. And then at the end of the forecast on October the 11th, a fairly deep trough all the way from the Arctic Ocean straight into the plains and into the Great Lakes. That's going to bring much cooler conditions to the state as a ridge builds over the west. And here you can see the red line going through the state. That's 10 degrees Celsius at 2 meters, which would be a temperature around 50 for highs. That could be quite interesting in a couple of weeks if that happens. Satellite image from last evening, a few low clouds in the mid-Atlantic states with the departing storm system into the Atlantic. The storm system across the plains into the northern Rockies is the one that'll be slowly coming at us into the weekend. The watch warning map from last evening, some dense fog advisories around Duluth, Minnesota, some air quality alerts around in Dallas and down in Houston, some winter weather issues in the west. And that's a sign of things to come in the coming months. So we head to the QPF chart. Precipitation over the next 5 days through Monday evening at 7 o'clock, showing rainfall around here between about a quarter to maybe a half to 3/4 of an inch, heaviest over the Pacific Northwest, well off to our west, and also well to our south.